Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back again with another repair video for you, or we really can't call it a repair video, but more of a maintenance video. For some time I've been asked about doing a power steering fluid flush video or go over the procedure of how to flush power steering fluid in a video. Today is the day that happens. Now behind me I have my 2004 Honda Element that we'll be performing this procedure on. However, the basics of this video can be used and applied to several other vehicle types. But you might want to consult your service manual just to be sure on that. This is our power steering fluid reservoir. And it contains the store of power steering fluid in the system. Now there's two lines coming in and out of it. And this is the return line, which would be the low pressure line coming back from the power steering rack. And this one is the feed to the power steering pump itself. So the power steering pump gets its fluid from this area here. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the return line and either plug it off or, well, I probably will plug it off, but I believe what I'm going to do is disconnect it right down in here, and I'm going to install another line off of this into a drain pan. And then I will either block off this line, or I thought about perhaps even hooking a funnel up to it and using it to fill the system at the same time I've got fluid going out. That's one possibility, but really what you want to do is you want to drain the entire system, and you can do that by basically routing the return line someplace where you can house that fluid. Now before I get started, I'm going to be disconnecting these power steering lines, which means there's going to be fluid that's going to be dripping out. Now to save my garage floor, I have this pan that I'm going to slip under and try to catch as much of the fluid as possible and keep it off my floor. Now as I said, I'm going to be disconnecting this power steering line, the return line, to the reservoir here. But I don't want all of the fluid to bleed out of the reservoir just yet, so I'm going to employ my, as I often do, needle nose vice grips with pieces of fuel line on the end to just sort of pinch off the hose so that everything doesn't bleed out while I'm in the process of swapping this hose over. Definitely be changing out this clamp. The fact that I'm changing it out doesn't matter that I just broke it. Rust. And I've never really been fond of this type of clamp for this very reason. Given that it's already a lost cause, I'm just going to clip it or bend it or whatever I can do just to get that clamp off of there. At least they're easy to break away. There we go. Finally. I'm gonna go get something to plug this up with. Look what I found, a plug. And you know, I'm just gonna put my clamp on now too, so I don't forget for later. So we have that. Now we need to put something on that line. I have, this is fuel line, which is probably 5/16. I've got some 5/16 fuel line here. It may be a little small, but I'm gonna try it out anyway. But this is meant to handle fuel and emissions. I'm just gonna put that down on there. That might be on there just enough. Now if I was smart, I'd clamp it off, but I might not be smart. Now that I've got that hooked up, I'm gonna get a suitable amount of this hose to run down here. Yeah, this is some pretty old hose. I'm just gonna put it there into my drain pan. Now comes the easy part. We just need to run the engine, turn the wheel lock to lock until it empties everything out. Simple enough. Now we'll turn it lock to lock. I'd say that's empty. I could barely move the wheel. As soon as I started it up, there was nothing there. I'm pretty sure that's empty, and if it is, we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish. Yeah, we definitely got all the remaining fluid out of here. Reservoir is certainly empty. It really didn't take much at all. In fact, I didn't even have to turn it lock to lock, and the system was empty. Now I'm gonna hook up, I'm gonna disconnect my line, but I'm gonna hook up the return line again, fill the system up with fluid, and then turn it lock to lock again, make sure all the air's bled out, and we've just changed out power steering fluid. Right, now everything's hooked back up. I am using Honda power steering fluid. I strongly recommend, if you have a Honda, only use Honda power steering fluid. It even says it in the manual, use of other fluids could cause issues, especially when cold. So if they say things like use Honda fluid in the manual, you probably should. I'm going to top this off. It's going to be a little high to start with, but as soon as I start it up, the level's going to go down. I have 2 bottles with me. With that drain pan still placed underneath here, I'm going to do what I can, spray around. I have a little bit of brake cleaner here that I'm going to use to clean the area up where it's spilled. I'm also going to clean up the power steering fluid reservoir a little. Now let's start the vehicle, turn the wheel lock to lock, make sure all the air's out, and then top it off. I'm going to add a little more fluid just to start with now. Now I'm going to turn it lock to lock. Well, that wraps up the power steering fluid replacement on my 2004 Element. Now, this procedure pretty much can ring true on several different types of vehicles. Power steering systems are very similar in that they have a return line going back to the reservoir. Find that return line, tap into it, run that into a drain pan, plug off the other end, run the engine. I didn't have to run it that long. I think before I even got to the point where I was going to turn the wheel lock to lock, it was already empty because there was a lot of effort that I had to make in order to turn the wheel. I know it was empty. You don't want to run it for too long without power steering fluid. That could damage other components in the system. So once you know that you're empty and you're not getting any more fluid out, shut it down, close everything back up, and top it off with fluid. Now you may have an issue with air for a little bit. What I did with this was I just left it off for about 5–10 minutes. The air bubbled its way out of the system. I started it back up, no more noise, everything was fine. Hopefully it will be the same for you. It's not that difficult to test. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure, have asked the question, Eric, when should I do this? Well, I checked the Honda service manual and they don't list anything for power steering fluid replacement or an interval for power steering fluid replacement. They list the procedure, but they don't tell you when to do it. So I really couldn't say. Round numbers, let's say 100,000 miles. Power steering fluid doesn't get a lot of, well, it goes through heat cycles for sure, but it's not like oil that's in the engine that's exposed to all those different combustion chemicals, that type of thing. And it's not like an automatic transmission not performing that type of function. It's actually a rather simple system. So I'll say a round number, 100,000 miles. Check your service manual for your particular vehicle. I'll leave it with that. But procedure is pretty straightforward, and I hope this video helped you should you want to do this. If you have automotive questions that weren't addressed in this video, I would ask that you head over to EricTheCarGuy.com. There's a welcome video there to tell you about all the amazing features we have there to help you with automotive issues, should you have them. If you wish to connect me socially, I can be found on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. Post repair videos every Friday, so stop back and see me then. Close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, stay dirty. See you next time.